The Undertaker is one of the biggest legends in WWE history. From the moment he made his iconic debut at Survivor Series 1990, fans knew that Deadman would make an impact on the wrestling business. There has never been someone quite like The Undertaker, and there probably never will be. Throughout his historic 30-year career in WWE, The Undertaker went one-on-one with pretty much every top name that worked for the company during that time. Undertaker had some of the best matches in WrestleMania history, but he also had some classics on other shows. Welcome to Honor Wrestling Club, and here are the 21 best matches of The Undertaker's legendary 30-year career. Welcome to the club. In number 21, we have The Undertaker vs Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship on the September 4th, 2003 edition of SmackDown with a rating of 8 out of 10. Despite being two of the greatest of all time, The Undertaker's chemistry with Kurt Angle could be hit or miss. After a pair of weird matches in 2000 that fully loaded in the Survivor Series, they finally tore the house down in a singles match on an episode of SmackDown. This bout took place in the final months of Undertaker's run as the American Badass, and Angle's championship was on the line. Unfortunately, their awesome match didn't have a good ending as Brock Lesnar ran in to cause the disqualification to set up his iconic Iron Man match with Kurt. In number 20, we have The Undertaker vs Brock Lesnar inside of Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell 2015 with a rating of 8.25 out of 10. Ever since the shocking end of the streak at WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker felt he had something to prove. That's why the Deadman cost Brock Lesnar the WWE Championship the following year, with the pair eventually clashing in their second Hell in a Cell match against each other. While their first encounter at No Mercy 2002 will always be more memorable, the two legends did have another great one in 2015. It's arguably the most violent Hell in a Cell match since the beginning of WWE's PG era, and Lesnar put the Deadman away with the F5 on the exposed ring canvas. In number 19, we have The Undertaker vs Batista in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship at Backlash 2007 with a rating of 8.25 out of 10. The Undertaker and Batista had a terrific rivalry over the World Heavyweight Championship in 2007 that dominated the SmackDown brand. After Undertaker won the title in a critically acclaimed bout at WrestleMania 23, Batista had a rematch and under last man standing rules at Backlash. The two super heavyweights continued to exceed expectations, delivering yet another awesome world title match. While the match ended in a draw, which fans usually hate, the ending was unique and well executed, which allowed the storyline to continue. In number 18, we have The Undertaker vs Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight Championship on SmackDown March 3rd, 2006 with a rating of 8.5 out of 10. In 2006, Kurt Angle was as intense as ever under his new wrestling machine character. The Undertaker turned out to be one of his best opponents during that run, with the two having a few bangers during the road to WrestleMania 22. In fact, some fans believe they should have headlined Mania that year. One of the best bouts they ever had against each other happened on an episode of SmackDown in March that year. Also as iconic as their No Way Out match a few weeks later, they tore the house down yet again. After yet another unsuccessful challenge, the Deadman began a feud with Mark Henry led to a casket match at WrestleMania, while Kurt would go on to face Randy Orton and Triple H in a very fun triple threat match. In number 17, we have The Undertaker vs Randy Orton inside of a Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon 2005 with a rating of 8.5 out of 10. In 2005, The Undertaker and Randy Orton had a fantastic feud that nearly lasted the whole year. 2004 had been a challenging year for both men as the Legend Killer's face turn was a massive flop, while Undertaker was still searching for his first great feud since he brought back the Deadman persona. It turned out to be the best thing that could have happened to both men. After great matches at WrestleMania and SummerSlam, their rivalry culminated with a Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon. Despite Orton and his father Bob Orton's best attempts, The Undertaker won to put a definitive end to their program. In number 16, we have The Undertaker vs Edge in a TLC match for the World Heavyweight Championship at One Night Stand 2008 with a rating of 8.5 out of 10. The Deadman and Edge fought each other for the World Heavyweight Championship several times throughout 2008. That just seemed to be a theme of The Undertaker in the mid-2000s. Have a match with someone at Mania, feud with them for the rest of the year. And that included the main event of Mania 24, but the feud was far from over, with Edge's then wife and SmackDown general manager Vickie Guerrero banning Taker's Hell's Gate submission hold as illegal. After the Deadman used to hold an Edge, Vickie vacated the belt. Therefore, both men met again with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line in a TLC match at One Night Stand. The Rated R Superstar had the advantage this time around since it was a match type that he helped create. Edge did indeed walk out of One Night Stand with the gold, and The Undertaker would leave the company, but he wouldn't be gone for a long time. And we'll get back to that later. In number 15, we have the 6-man Hell in a Cell match from the Armageddon 2000. with a rating of 8.5 out of 10. In December 2000, Kurt Angle defended the WWE Championship in one of the most chaotic, unique and stacked matches of all time. At Armageddon, the Olympic hero put the title on the line in a 6-man Hell in a Cell match against The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H and Rikishi. All 6 men beat each other from pillar to post all around the arena for over 30 minutes. After Vince McMahon had opened the door with the help of a construction truck, they took the fight to the outside. Everyone died outside of Rikishi, who took the craziest bump of the match, and probably his craziest bump ever, courtesy of The Undertaker as he gently pushed him off the top. In the end, the champion Angle managed to squirm out a victory. In number 14, we have The Undertaker vs Batista inside of a Hell in a Cell match for the World Heavyweight Championship from Survivor Series 2007, with a rating of 8.75 out of 10. When fans talk about The Undertaker's best rivals, they often mention names such as Shawn Michaels, Triple H and Mick Foley. But one of the Deadman's most underrated rivals was the Animal Batista, with the two men carrying SmackDown main event scene in 2007. And the trading wins at WrestleMania, which went to The Undertaker, and Cyber Sunday, which went to Batista, as well as 2 draws at Backlash and in a cage match on SmackDown, they solved their issues once and for all inside of a Hell in a Cell match at Survivor Series. Don't let the babyface versus babyface scenario fool you, this was downright brutal. The Tombstone wasn't able to put Batista down. The Batista bomb couldn't put The Undertaker away. After nasty chair shots, superplexes and other vicious attacks, the returning Edge was the difference maker. Disguised as a cameraman, Edge nailed Taker with the cameraman and gave him a concerto on the steel steps, costing him the match. In number 13, we have The Undertaker vs Triple H in a no-holds-barred match from WrestleMania 27 with a rating of 8.75 out of 10. The Undertaker had many great rivalries in his career. One of his toughest opponents was Triple H, a man who faced the Deadman several times. One of their best battles took place at WrestleMania 27, with the game challenging the Phenom's undefeated streak for the second time. Triple H took it to Taker like very few men before him. He took The Undertaker to the limit after a brutal match. So much so that while The Undertaker technically got the submission win via Hell's Gate, Hunter was the last man standing and walked out where The Undertaker had to be carried to the back. In number 12, we have The Undertaker vs Brock Lesnar in a Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Championship at No Mercy 2002, with a rating of 8.75 out of 10. When people mention Undertaker and Brock Lesnar in the same sentence, they're usually speaking about the end of the streak at Mania 30. However, their best match happened 12 years earlier. Just a handful of months into his main roster run, the next big thing defended the championship inside Hell in a Cell against the Deadman in one of the bloodiest and most underrated cell matches ever. The two legends delivered one of the most violent cell matches of all time. Both men and even Paul Heyman bled in this brutal encounter. After nearly 30 minutes of pulsating action, the rookie Lesnar countered a Tombstone Piledriver attempt and delivered the F5. Brock Lesnar had earned the American Badass's respect after scoring a decisive victory over him that night. In number 11, we have vs Bret Hart for the WWE Championship at One Night Only 1997, with a rating of 9 out of 10. In the mid to late 1990s, The Undertaker started to wrestle longer matches after many years of having slower matches against giant heels. One of the wrestlers responsible for improving Taker's in-ring ability was Bret Hart, one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. Hart had won the Taker's Championship in a great match at SummerSlam 1997 with Michaels as a special guest referee. While the SummerSlam match was more memorable, their rematch at One Night Only was even better despite the DQ finish. The Phenom himself spoke highly about this match on 6 Feet Under via Inside the Ropes. If you've never seen this match, make sure you check it out. It's a hidden gem from Taker's iconic career. In number 10, we're finally into the top 10. The Undertaker vs CM Punk from WrestleMania 29 with a rating of 9 out of 10. In the early 2010s, The Undertaker became a part-time wrestler, but didn't stop the Deadman having some of the best matches of the beginning of the decade. In 2013, The Undertaker defended his WrestleMania streak against the man who'd recently been champion for 434 days, CM Punk. Both men made spectacular entrances that night and absolutely stole the show once the bell rang. Some of the highlights included Punk hitting a flying elbow drop on the announce table, Taker sitting up while Punk had the Anaconda Vice locked in, and Punk hitting the GTS only for Taker to bounce off the ropes and hit a shocking tombstone. It was a phenomenal match that saw Undertaker pick up the final win in the history of his streak. In number 9, we have The Undertaker vs Mankind inside of Hell in a Cell at King of the Ring 1998 with a rating of 9 out of 10. One of Taker's best rivals was unquestionably Mick Foley. The latter went after the Deadman as soon as he made his debut in early 1996, which led to several matches that year. Although they were all great bouts, they didn't come close to the one they'd have 2 years later. Taker and Foley met in only the second Hell in a Cell match on a WWE pay-per-view at King of the Ring 1998. While the match was far from being technically flawless, that's not what this was about. The bumps Foley took here were insane, particularly when he got tossed off the cell all the way to the announce table below. These bumps have been etched on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling that is Mick Foley's poor spine. Mick nearly died when he got chokeslammed through the roof all the way to the ring in a spot that wasn't supposed to happen, and there's much debate about what was actually meant to happen. Thumbtacks also came into play as well in this barbaric match that was eventually won by The Undertaker. In number 8 we have The Undertaker vs Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 24. Edge and Undertaker began their rivalry back in 2007 in May, when Edge had cashed in his Money in the Bank on the Phenom right after he defended his World Heavyweight title against Batista inside of a steel cage match, and I believe Mark Henry also attacked him. Edge got injured a few months later, but he came back at Survivor Series to cost Taker a Hell in a Cell match against Batista, resuming their feud. Edge would recapture the world title in December, while Undertaker won SmackDown's Elimination Chamber at No Way Out 2008 to set up the main event of Mania 24. They had a fantastic bout, where Edge tried everything he could to end the streak. He nearly got the win after a spear and interference by the Edgeheads, but Undertaker found a way to lock in the Hell's Gate submission to become the new champion. Sticking with Edge, we have their match from SummerSlam 2008 inside of Hell in a Cell with a rating of 9.25 out of 10. Their feud would continue after WrestleMania, with Edge's then wife Vickie Guerrero, the SmackDown general manager at the time, stripping The Undertaker of the title after he made the Hell's Gate submission illegal. Undertaker went on a brief hiatus shortly thereafter, coming back in time for SummerSlam when he took on the rated R Superstar in a Hell in a Cell match. The match was unfairly hated at first due to bad timing, since it came shortly after WWE turned to PG, and thus it lacked blood and the viciousness of previous ones. However, the wrestlers gave it their all and proved a Hell in a Cell match could still work under the restrictions of the PG era. This is one of those matches that's like a fine wine, just gets better with time. In number 6 we have The Undertaker vs The Rock vs Kurt Angle from Vengeance 2002. Undertaker's very last reign with the WWE title happened way back in 2002, with Big Evil Big Knievel beating the legendary Hulk Hogan for the gold at Judgment Day. While he had better runs with the title in the past, his best title defense came during this reign against The Rock and Kurt Angle in a fantastic triple threat match of Vengeance. The three legends threw everything at each other and delivered one of the best triple threat matches of all time that night. Fans couldn't believe when they saw three wrestlers stealing each other's finishes, with The Rock ultimately coming out top. The Great One hit The Rock bottom on Angle, with The Undertaker making the save less than a second too late. An absolutely breathtaking matchup, and not one that many people actually talk about. In number 5 we have The Undertaker vs Kurt Angle from No Way Out 2006 with a rating of 9.5 out of 10. From a technical standpoint alone, this might very well be Undertaker's best in-ring performance ever. The Phenom challenged Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight title in No Way Out 2006, and the two delivered one of the best matches in the entire history of the big gold belt in WWE, with especially Taker really surprising everyone with his performance here. They took their time at first since it was a 30-minute match, with Undertaker selling the leg brilliantly while Angle viciously went after that said body part. Their sequences and reversals were amazing, especially in the last 10 minutes. Angle found ways to turn the chokeslam, the last ride and the tombstone into the ankle lock, but the Deadman wouldn't quit. Taker eventually locked in the Hell's Gate and Angle was able to roll through into a bridging pin for the clean victory. In number 4 we have vs Triple H from WrestleMania 28 with a rating of 9.75 out of 10. 4 of the best matches of not only Taker's wrestling career, but also wrestling as a whole, happened at WrestleMania between 2009 and 2012. We've already discussed one of them, however we're discussing another one here, and you may be able to guess what some more on this list may be. The Deadman successfully defended his streak against DX members Shawn Michaels and Triple H twice each. The final match of the epic saga happened at WrestleMania 28 and it was billed as the end of an era, and it featured HBK as a special referee inside Hell in a Cell, fittingly. Needless to say, it truly was the culmination of an epic story. Even with the epic confrontation between The Rock and John Cena, this was the true show stealer. The match had some iconic near falls that will be remembered forever, especially Taker kicking out of the super kick pedigree combo. It was one of the best matches in the careers of both legends. Sticking with Hell in a Cell, we're going back to the first one, as in at number 3 we have Taker vs Michaels from In Your House Bad Blood 1997, with a rating of 9.75 out of 10. Years before Taker and Michaels wrestled at back-to-back Manias, they made history by competing in the first Hell in a Cell match ever. At In Your House Bad Blood 1997, the two men laid the foundation for all the future Hell in a Cell matches, just like the ones already mentioned throughout this video. Undertaker absolutely destroyed Michaels from pillar to post for much of this match, wanting to make HBK pay for the sins of costing him the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. However, the debuting Kane memorably forced his way into the cell in the bout's final minutes, confronting his brother and delivering a tombstone that allowed Shawn to get the win. In number 2, we have The Undertaker vs Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25, with a rating of 9.75 out of 10. Most fans probably don't know, or those who do know would love to forget, that WWE actually considered ending the streak in 2009 at the hands of Vladimir Kozlov. Am I reading that right? Yeah, no, that's what it says, Vladimir Kozlov. The Deadman himself recently told the story in an interview with Ariel Helwani. Thankfully, the company realised this would have been a terrible idea and booked Taker in a match against Shawn Michaels instead. That's like upgrading a bullet wound to the stomach with a cheeseburger. The two delivered a fantastic match at the 25th edition of WrestleMania, one that is considered the best match of all time by many fans. The only thing that we here think is lacking is a strong story, since it happened quite late, but it was perfect in every other aspect. The finish with Undertaker catching Michaels in a moonsault attempt before delivering the tombstone was flawless, and if this is your number 1, I don't blame you. But personally, we prefer Taker vs Michaels, streak vs career, WrestleMania 26, rating 10 out of 10. Unlike the year before, Michaels vs Taker at WrestleMania 26 had one of the best storylines for any Mania main event, and had one of the best video packages ever. The running up that hill one, the chef's kiss. It's a French chef's French kiss. Michaels desperately put everything on the line just for one final chance to end the streak, including his own entire career. This really put Taker over as WWE's ultimate boss, and it guaranteed history would be made in the end, either the end of a legendary career or the end of a legendary streak. Neither man could lose, and what more could you ask for from a Mania main event? Fans were on the edge of their seats throughout the entire match, getting louder and louder as the match progressed. After both men kicked out of each other's finishes yet again, it came time for the finish. Undertaker began to feel a little bit of compassion for Shawn, who had nothing left in the tank, but HBK didn't want to be disrespected like that. He slapped Taker full across the face, leading to the Deadman hitting arguably the most rugged tombstone piledriver he ever hit. Jumping variant, slamming Michaels down, and 3 seconds later, Michaels' wrestling career was in the history books. And there you have it, there is the 21 best Undertaker matches of all time, according to us. However, what do you think? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the thumbs up button and click the subscribe button if you're new around here, you know all this stuff. That's all for now, so I'd like to thank you for watching, and welcome to the club. See ya!